Jonathan Horowitz is our Celtic Tavern horse racing insider.
Oh,
And
did you see who came up on
I
the
didn't. Who?
Andrew Jackson came up on the screen.
First thing I want to ask you. American Pharoah.
Oh, I forgot you were here.
Has it been determined where American
What?
Pharoah will race
What?
next? Is he going to be at the
You
Travers,
are-
or is he going to be at the Pacific Classic?
The reason there's a phrase, one trick pony,
Yeah.
is because of you. You got one question.
American
he's a
Tell us
very
about
good pony.
American Pharoah.
That's the horse that everybody wants to talk about.
The truth is, it hasn't been set. Now, the owner, Ahmed Zayed, said very emphatically, very publicly, we want to run in the Travers because that race has so much prestige. So many great champions have run in that race. But Saratoga is called the graveyard of champions. And
Wow.
Bob Baffert, because you look at horses who've run at Saratoga in their Triple Crown year, Secretariat lost to Onion. Gallant Fox lost to Jim Dandy. Two of the three Triple Crown runners who've run at Saratoga the summer of their Triple Crown ended up losing. And Bob Baffert doesn't have a very good record in the Travers. He's only 1 for 5 versus...
Why is that? What's different about Saratoga?
It's a difficult track. It's a very grueling track. And the idea that American Pharoah had a bit of time off after winning the Belmont, and then having less time off going into the Travers over such a demanding track that has this lore of champions not doing well at it, I think it's giving a little bit for Bob Baffert to second guess. And so he's sort of taking the safe road. Look, the horse has to be 100% sound, and if he is, then we'll give it a chance. But the owner has wanted him to run in the Travers, but Bob Baffert hasn't committed just yet.
Oh, I didn't know I was part of this discussion.
I thought you wanted to have a follow-up question on American Pharoah.
No, not at all. I want to ask him what's going on at the track, because this is last week.
This is the final weekend at
Come on,
Arapahoe
can we
Park.
talk about something that's important? American Pharoah, that's last month's story. Because you got the big races coming up.
It's really amazing because this is the end of the season and it's the biggest races of the season for thoroughbreds, quarter horses, and Arabians. And the final day of the meet on Sunday, it's going to be the richest day in the history of horse racing in Colorado.
See?
$500,000 in prize money. And we wanted American Pharoah to come out, but we have a very good cast of characters.
Here's what you should do. You can't get American Pharoah. Bring Les out to talk about American Pharoah.
Next best thing.
Tell me about this female horse that's going to be at the Pacific Classic. Why is she special?
So the idea of having a female horse running against the males is very intriguing. I mean, just look back in sports, Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs, battle of the sexes. You see it not too often in horse racing, but often enough to where you can get excited about it. So in terms of the national racing scene, you have a female horse named Beholder, and she was a champion, 2-time Breeders' Cup winner, and she's just been beating up on the female horses. Now she has a chance to run against the male horses in the Pacific Classic at Del Mar. And this weekend at Arapahoe, we have an intriguing female horse named Lady Gila. She's 8 years old. The truth is her connections had pretty much given up on her. They were running her at racing's lowest level, $3,000 claiming races. And she started winning and winning and winning, and now she's on a 7-race win streak, and now she's in the biggest race of her career in our $100,000 Arapahoe Park Classic. It's amazing to see these horses. I mean, American Pharoah was a star right out of the gates, but the great thing about horse racing is you can see horses like we'll see on Sunday with Lady Gila, who just started at racing's lowest level and then figured the game out and started improving and now can run on our biggest stage in Colorado.
And she follows in the tradition of Lady Gaga, who has become a big attraction to this country, it would seem to me. Another pop culture kind of reference there.
Who's touring with Gary U.S.
Speaking
Bonds.
of that, though.
I think we're setting a world record for most Gary U.S. Bonds references.
Gary doesn't even say his name that much. Let's find out if he's still alive. Get him on the show. What about female jockeys this season at Arapahoe?
We usually have a very good female jockey at Arapahoe named Kelsey Purcell.
Yes.
But for the first couple months of the season, she was based in Iowa. But she's come back for the last 2 weeks of the meet, and she's going to be racing this weekend. And that's another aspect of racing, is you can see female athletes competing against male athletes on the same level. Female jockeys against male jockeys. And Kelsey Purcell, when she was at the full season at Arapahoe last year, she was in the top 5 for thoroughbreds, and now she's just here for the last couple weeks. But whenever she's on a horse, she's very live.
What's the schedule this weekend? Because you got 3 or 4 big races this weekend, the final week. And what are tickets for people to get in, and some other general information, since a lot of people are going to try and come out? I'm sure you have your biggest crowds.
Oh, absolutely.
And possibly the last day could be one of the biggest crowds in Colorado history.
Without a doubt, biggest crowds, biggest races. And so the final weekend, there'll be 9 races each day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the big stakes races are spread out over Saturday and Sunday, really climaxing on Sunday. Those big races are the $100,000 Arapahoe Park Classic, the $100,000 Gold Rush Futurity. Those are for our thoroughbreds. For the quarter horses, it's the Mile High Futurity. That has a purse of $203,000. And for the Arabians, they have the $25,000 Cobra Classic. And then you throw in the undercard races as well, and you get $500 on the dot for the whole day.
Jonathan, I'm going to go. I know you're not going to go because you'd rather sit in the dugout at the Rockies game, but I'm going to come out and get some tips. It's going to give me a tip.
Perfect. $3 to get in and free tips.
Well, have fun this weekend.
Thank you. It's going to be a great way to end the season.
And you brought your dad today, and you have great. That's not his dad. We always are talking about good breeding in thoroughbred racing. You obviously had good breeding. Your father is in from Irvine, California. And
he's in from Southern California, and that's probably the biggest round of applause anyone's gotten on this show.
Was he a track announcer?
No, my father was a math professor, but he did teach a class in probability and statistics and gambling, and so from a very young age he taught me and my brother Daniel how to read the racing form and how to calculate parimutuel odds.
So he's the reason you're a degenerate.
And I'd like for you to meet my daughter, who's not here, but she's got a master's in math, so the two of you could actually talk, because I can't talk to my daughter about anything.
and I was a math major, and you don't often get to talk to people about differential geometry and complex analysis. But
Jonathan, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Would you like to meet my daughter?
Have a great time. Have a great time this weekend.
Bring her out.
At Arapahoe Park.
And here's my daughter. It's The Bachelor.
Jonathan's appearance is brought to you by the Celtic Tavern, the official sponsor of the Colorado Rapids as well. The Celtic provides a bus to every Rapids home game. You can go out with all your soccer-loving buddies 2 hours before kickoff and tailgate with them. And if you want to get over to the Celtic and do that, it's just a couple of blocks west of Coors Field on Blake Street.